everyone, and welcome to Changing My Mind. My name is Lori, and this is my journey from becoming selfless to being centered in self. This is a brief introduction to the video you are about to see. I actually recorded this on August 13th of 2019. Yes, I have been trying to do this for 3 years. As you will see, it's a slightly different set, it's in a different location, and I have a different life. If you would like to find out why it's taken me so long, you can follow me on another channel that I have developed called Changing My Life. There has been way too much that has happened over the course of the last 3 years to explain anything here. But I wanted to get these videos out, so I decided I needed to start somewhere. I do have a few other videos already recorded. Once I get through those and get all caught up, I will continue from where I have left off. I hope you enjoy, and more so, get something out of it. So there's no crying in the 70s. Hi everybody, this is Lori with Changing My Mind. This is the second video, so if you haven't seen the first one or my disclaimer video, I would recommend going and checking those out. This video I am calling There's No Crying in the 70s or 80s. So to begin, I just want to reinstate, I spent a lot of time contemplating these videos. I teeter-tottered over and over many times as to whether I should even do them. Then once I started doing them, of course, I had to do them a couple times over for some of the learning curve. And basically what that means is these are not being done in real time. At this point, I do not know if or when they will be. However, I did journal along the way, so these are not just made up based on my recollection. These are true to the feelings at the time. So why change my mind? And why do I need to change my mind? These are actually really deep questions. And I don't mean philosophically deep. I mean they run very deep. Please remember, I am taking 1000% responsibility for my own thought processes and my own issues. I wanted to make sure I got that in there before I get too far along here. But the question is always, where do you start and what do you say? So I guess really, for me, it makes sense to start at the beginning. And I want to also say, I'm not looking for pity or sympathy. We have no way of knowing if this journey is successful if we don't know where it started. This is literally the foundation to changing my mind, and this is my story from my perspective. I was born in 1971, and I'm the oldest of 2 girls. We are 4 years apart, and obviously we have completely different personalities. The truth of the matter is, I was simply born with a personality of being oversensitive, overthinking, wearing my heart on my sleeve, being a people pleaser, and putting myself in other people's shoes. But unlike today, there really was no place for a child like me to fit in, much less to be dealt with in the 70s and 80s. Because there simply was no crying in the 70s and 80s. And I did my very best to hold back the tears. Now, there really is no specific event that created my demons. It really is about how my childlike brain and my personality processed my world and how I believed it pertained to me. That's really important because this is about how I viewed it. And I didn't know any better. So for anybody who isn't familiar with the 70s and 80s, let me just give you a little bit of history and context. Aside from the fact we didn't have cell phones or helmets and there were no seatbelt laws. We had real discipline. Real discipline still existed. Discipline in the 70s and 80s usually involved the infamous look, which meant you better shape up if you didn't want to get spanked. We still got grounded, and if we smarted off to either of our parents, we would be lucky if we didn't have to drive to another county or another state to pick up our teeth. Bullying was a thing in the 70s and 80s, and I wasn't immune, but back then we had to fend for ourselves. Sticks and stones may break my bones, but names will never hurt me was a common phrase. Don't know if it is now. I hated that phrase then, and I hate it now. We were held accountable for our behaviors and for our own grades. We learned to respect authority. We didn't question authority. We learned that our behavior had consequences. But let me be clear. I was not abused. I have no issues with how I was disciplined, and quite frankly, I really feel that society could use a little bit of the discipline from the 70s and 80s. But for a little girl who was oversensitive and overthinking and wore her heart on her sleeve and did everything she could to please people and always put herself in other people's shoes, every aspect of life became a minefield, a literal minefield of negative programming, both mentally and emotionally. It meant that it was really hard for me to just suck it up or to let things just roll off my back. And quite frankly, I don't know if I even understood what that meant. I tried to treat people the way I thought they would want to be treated. I wasn't the one picking on people. I was usually either getting picked on or trying to stick up for others. Failure on absolutely every level was guaranteed. The problem was how I processed that failure. For my brain, it wasn't the behavior that was bad. It was me that was bad. After all, I'm the one who's getting punished. So as a child, I'm in no way capable of questioning this. And there really is no way that questioning this would have flown. You just didn't question authority that way. At least not when you had a personality like I did, or do. Failure really became one of my primary demons. So naturally, as I grew up, the number and the degree of failures increased. Therefore, my demons increased. I always felt guilty for something, whether it was something I did or not. If you were crabby, I felt guilty about it because I had to have done something to make you crabby. And I'm not saying it was all about me, but again, as a child, if you're being crabby at me, I'm processing that as you're angry with me, you're upset with me, you're disappointed in me, you're whatever with me, which then translated to I'm being bad. So it all just kind of, again, melded. Every new demon kind of melded with the other ones and became more and more logical. And again, in my kid brain, if I'm being bad, I can't possibly be loved. I needed to be good to be loved. Love meant acceptance. So that is the foundation to my core demons. The 70s was also a time where children were to be seen, not heard, to some extent. So again, trying to be good and not be a problem or a burden. I usually tried to make sure that I was good and quiet, unheard, and unseen, which often meant that I felt alone or isolated, and it helped feed the negative mindsets. So, of course, as I grew, the demons developed, and they have little, tentacles, I guess, like I am bad, I'm not lovable, I don't matter, I'm not good enough, I'm not smart enough, I'm not talented enough. Anything that, every little failure, every little comment, whether it be snide or not snide, or true or not true, didn't really matter. I couldn't differentiate as a child whether what that person was saying was true or not. And if you were in a person of authority or someone who was older than me, I was going to take what you were saying as true. I'm not going to question people in my life telling me how I am, because that would be disrespectful if I questioned people who were older than me. And I'm clear that this sounds dramatic and oh, woe is me. And again, I'm not looking for sympathy or pity or anything like that. But the truth is, this all has its place in the programming that has affected how I operated for the last 48 years, both mentally, emotionally, and physically. And again, there was no one person or event that contributed to this. I basically had no self-esteem, no bearings of being valid. I had no ground beneath my feet to say, no, this is who I am and you're wrong. I believed they were right because I already had negative tapes, so negative is going to believe negative. I didn't have positive things to say, no, you're wrong. And quite frankly, the idea that they could be wrong never dawned on me, because it was the truth. I had no reason to argue or reason to not live in that truth. And I don't think it dawned on me that people would lie. I think I took people for who they were and what they said as truth, because it wasn't, why would they lie? So by the time I was in my late teens and early 20s, even if someone did compliment me or try to imply in any way that I was deserving of anything good, I wouldn't have believed them. The negativity was in full force. My training was complete and the demons had the playground. I am completely lost at this point in every sense of the word. I'm feeling rejected and dejected. I'm feeling unworthy and worthless. And I only knew how to operate from what I knew. Nothing more. And again, I am not looking for sympathy or pity in any way. None of this makes me special. This is just how I operated and the foundation to how changing my mind became my journey. So again, if you can relate to where I am at or how I am feeling, please do not wait till life drop kicks you off the cliff. Make a phone call to your doctor, to a therapist, or to the hotline to get the help you need and deserve. So thank you for watching. Until the next video, I hope you have an awesome day.